Okay. Standing 26. And just, I'd ask for your cooperation again in relation to time. Doherty.
I get the last Corlia. Tanisha, Chin Major Margin Gold Sunry Falchia, Doherty investigates, Gron Rinslanchik, Balu Sunry or Fwashi La Wahas, Agus me Homus Fomla Ella, Le Smala Harahu, Agus a Hudge Chiley. So Shaw Chiley be Tridge Fried in the Kurchina, Agus Fried Mon Ella, Le Shervishi Marishgarta El, Dogged Poesti. Tenskiel Shaw Scanual, Agus me Etuil, Tasha Nayak or Harla Shaw. Agus ta Kishna le Fricker again Realtis, Modular Shaw, Kavi Fisaku Fui, Agus Kawur. Tanisha, this morning, RT Investigates have published shocking revelations which stem from the disclosure from a whistleblower from the Department of Health. This relates to children with autism, whose families have fought to ensure that their children got proper access to services which they should have been entitled to. Unknown to these families and to their children, the Department of Health had been gathering information on them and their children for many, many years, specifically in order to defend legal cases which these families considered bringing in order to vindicate the rights of their children's access to services. Taoiseach, this is truly shocking, absolutely shocking that this is going on, that this was going on, and it highlights an attitude of suspicion and contempt towards the families that is simply unjustifiable. This information on file in the department's database includes detailed medical and personal information, which any right-thinking person would believe that this was covered by doctor-patient confidentiality. Instead of assisting families in accessing proper services for children with a disability or a learning difficulty, what we had instead was the Department of Health playing private investigators, trying to dig up dirt on parents who've already been through the mill. And this information that was gathered is clearly very sensitive, very intimate, and very often completely unrelated to any litigation. It is, at the very least, Taoiseach, invasive and disproportionate. In reality, it's dishonest, it's totally unethical, and possibly illegal. And it represents a monumental breach of trust. The database in which this information is stored on, despite its incredible sensitivity, is available for a whole division in the Department of Health to access and includes items such as reports from schools, details of psychiatric consultations with children, videos of children in distressed state. And it's absolutely alarming that personal information which parents gave in confidence to their child's doctor at a time of family crisis would be collated by the Department of Health in this manner to be used against the families as a tactic in litigation to prevent families getting additional supports that they were seeking. Now, Taoiseach, the severity of this is quite frankly unquantifiable. There are many questions that we all need to have answered. We know that a whistleblower in question raised the concerns with their bosses in the Department of Health. Do you know when that was? Who was the Minister for Health at the time? And were they informed of the fact that a protected disclosure was made by the whistleblower last year? This is a practice which has clearly gone on for many years within the Department of Health. As a former minister, Taoiseach, did you know that this practice was going on? That the Department of Health were gathering this type of sensitive information that they had no right to access in the first place, and access to asking the doctors not to tell the families that they were being provided this information? Were you aware that this practice was happening during your tenure as Taoiseach? Were you made aware of it? And will the internal examination by the Department of Health into this practice be made public?
Thank you,
and is this practice of gathering private information, none of which could be considered relevant to possible litigation, still going on within the department?
Thanks. Thanks very much, Deputy, for raising this issue. I read about it this morning on the RT News website. And what's recounted on the website this morning is worrying. And as you say, it does relate to very sensitive and very private matters affecting individuals with disabilities and their families. I don't know all the facts of this. I will watch the Primetime Investigates programme tonight, and I'm sure that the Department of Health will want to make a statement on the matter if they haven't already, and will want to reply to any questions or concerns that are raised. I understand, and I understand this only from reading the RTE website this morning, that a protected disclosure on the matter was made in 2020. Personally, I have no recollection of being briefed on this. You mentioned that I am a former Minister for Health. That was 4 or 5 years ago, for a year and a half, and I don't have any personal recollection of this at all. But like I say, that was quite, and disability was a delegated matter, as you know. But I'd have to double check any records in that regard, but I have no personal recollection of it at the moment.
This practice has been going on for well over a decade. And I believe your response is inadequate. The Department of Health says that this is normal practice. Now, how could it be normal practice for psychiatric reports that have intimate details of the family situation of a child with autism to be shared with the Department of Health, and ask for that to be shared without the consent of the parents and without the knowledge of the parents? How could it be normal practice for a child in its most vulnerable situation for a video of that to be held in the Department of Health and accessed by any individual within that department? This cannot stand, Taoiseach. It simply cannot stand. So I've asked you a number of questions about the the internal investigation to be published. But there is a need, in our view, for an independent investigation of the ethical and legal rationale for all of this. It needs to be undertaken urgently, and it shouldn't drag on. So can I ask you, do you agree that an inquiry similar in scope and duration to the Scally inquiry into the cervical check screening programme is now needed, encompassing both the Department of Health, the Department of Education and the HSE, because it is clear that this must be properly investigated?
Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy. I accept what you say. My response is inadequate because I don't know the facts of this. And like I say, became aware of this matter reading about it on the RT website this morning. And it does appear to be a serious matter, and questions will be asked, and questions also need to be answered. But I'm not aware of the facts at this stage, and it would be inappropriate for me, I think, to offer further comments, having not heard from the Minister for Health or the Minister Responsibility for Disability or the Department at this stage. But I do agree that this appears to be a very serious matter, and I will be watching the programme tonight to find out more.